Hello everyone, I'm Denise with Spiritual Growth Tarot, and I am here to do a reading on the future of the United States Postal Service. So I'm using the Light Seers Tarot, and I'm going to use a Celtic cross. And so before I draw the cards, they're shuffled, I just have to choose. So just to know, in case you're a new viewer, I always come from aligning with the cosmic laws of love and the limitless abundance of the universe. So with that in mind, let's look at the forces in motion. Okay, will be the first card. The challenges. What the USPS has control over. What they've done in the past for them, what's hanging over them of which they have no control over, and their near future, and then what they're attracting, others' influence over the organization, their distant future, and the outcome of the situation right now. Okay, so let's move these and make some space. Give me a moment to get everything in frame here. And I also pulled the two cards off the bottom to give us more information about the basis of the situation. So I'll show you those in a moment. So here, actually, let's move things a bit. Okay, that's better. Okay, so the forces in motion are the Page of Pentacles. Wow, that's interesting and a pretty good card, I would say, because this has to do with looking at the future, studying all the different ways that things could come together in order to move towards real stable prosperity and abundance. And they have operated, for years perfectly well. And they're fully, their retirement plans are fully funded. So this just looks to me like it's moving towards stability. So I really like seeing that. Now, what's challenging them is the Six of Pentacles. So that would have to do with where they're getting more funding from, who's taking things away, and who's giving things, to them. So that's, so all the shenanigans, all this corruption that's coming through from Trump and Louis DeJoy, or DeJoy, however you pronounce his name, this card is speaking to that. Because it's in a challenging position, or challenging the stability of the USPS, that's their resources that comes in from other revenue. And the challenging part that I'm seeing right now is, just on a logical level, this isn't coming from the tarot, although this card triggered it, but my logical brain wants to tell me, my reasoning abilities say that if we lose faith in its ability to deliver for us, we'll stop using it, and companies will stop using it, and they'll go elsewhere. And that's exactly what Louis DeJoy wants, because he owns, I forget, the amount just flew over my head, but he owns stock in all the major other delivery entities like UPS and FedEx, and UPS has been one of the biggest, they've been up there within the Republican Party donators. So that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, so what they do have control over, we get the Queen of Cups. So that's actually pretty good. This is all about the sanctity of the organization. the willingness to open to the universe and to, you know, just all possibilities. I mean, they have, if you just look at their evolution over the years, they have come to a place to where they operate online really, really well. So they have navigated that, you know, those waters, and they've come to a place where it's full circle. So this is about, what they do have control over is about nurturing. With the Queen of Cups, it's always about nurturing the future and honoring the sacred. Now, the two cards that were at the bottom, which I see as, you know, being part of the base, is the Nine of Pentacles and the Hierophant. So with the Nine of Pentacles there, we have self-sufficiency. So they are, so at the base of who they are and what they do have control over, they do have control over their self-sufficiency normally, you know, before the shenanigans began. They were doing just fine before DeJoy came in, DeJoy, whatever his name is. I actually want to call him something else that I can't say. Okay, so, but with the Hierophant, this is the tradition. It's the group. It's the organization of the UPS, and it's strong. So that this just reinforces the Queen of Cups, that it's strong and it's growing. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Okay, so their past is the Star. So I believe this is relating to opening up to new goals and you know, navigating in the future over the internet. So they're hopeful. They're holding on to their faith, and they're putting themselves out there. You know, as an organization, they're putting themselves out there. Now, the problem is that these guys that are in charge now, like the board of directors, and you can go online and find out who they are, and you can write to them and let them know how upset you are with the state of affairs. So this card is kind of open. It's not, I don't see it as being a firm, you know, like hold on to your faith, or you know, but it looks like not being hopeless is the thing, not be hopeless. But it does show that there has been, with the Star card, something's been put out there to make change. So what they have control, or I'm sorry, what's looming over them of which they have no control, is the Two of Cups. So this speaks to the bonds of people coming together. I think this is that board of directors who, you know, have come together to try and you know, bring something in that's just very selfish, self-dealing. Okay, let's keep going. So I'll tie it together better when I get all the cards laid out. So this is the near future. So these guys are looking for their ship to come in. They're waiting patiently, maybe impatiently with the wands. You know, it's possible that they're impatient about it, because these are, you know, these guys that are Louis DeJoy and Trump and all these guys that are behind this are they're selfish and greedy, so that means that they're not patient. Okay, now what they're attracting is the Seven of Swords. That's really interesting. And others' influence, we have the Ace of Wands. Distant future is the Two of Swords. And the outcome is the Six of Cups. Okay, so now I'd say we can get somewhere and look at this a little more deeply, because, you know, the way the cards connect is really important. So with what they're attracting with the Seven of Swords, that is people seeing that they're trying to get away with something. And I'm not talking about, you know, the people that work at the USPS or the you know, the union boss or the, you know, the guys that are trying to take care of it in a good way. I'm talking about this is relating to Trump and Louis DeJoy. This is relating to the board members that are letting him, you know, letting them do this. This is them trying to remove and steal all the mailboxes, or steal some mailboxes and see if they can get away with it. This is them taking out sorting machines in many states. This is them trying to get away with something, and we're seeing it. And then what others do have influence over is coming down with our passionate, you know, just our passion, our courage, and to say, wait a minute, excuse me, you know, what do you think that you're going to do? It's very, this is a very powerful card for the influence over, you know, these guys that are trying to get away with something. It's very, very powerful, you know, very, very full of potential and new beginnings. So there might be something that comes in later. We'll have to keep an eye on this, and I'll do more readings as we go along if need be. But I'm thinking there's some new influx of powerful forces that come in to shift this. Now in their distant future, this has to do with making decisions. It has to do with maybe it's challenging for them to make a decision, because they're, you know, the board members are in charge, so the entity of the USPS itself can't really make decisions for itself. You know, it's a bit of a stalemate. You can see, you know, she has a blindfold on here, and so she can't really see. She's, you know, there. If it were a personal reading, I would say it's a great time to go inside and trust your guts and decide, you know, from there. But because this is an organization of, you know, a huge workforce, huge workforce, this tells me that they're not able to make the choices. It's based on the, you know, on the decisions by the board members. Interesting. Yeah, okay. And then the outcome with the Six of Cups, this is actually a really good card to have as the outcome, because it's all about a reunion. It's all about going back to the efficiency of the way it was, and it might be even better with this powerful energy coming in here. So there's an innocence to this card as well. A beautiful innocence about, you know, the way that we, you know, I mean, we just look at the imagery in the card here, you know, you can see it's like there's a lot of love for the puppy and the little boy. This you know, this is them in the past, and here the dog has grown, of course, and the man has grown, and they have all these memories. So this is the place where we actually have, you know, good memories of how well the post office worked, and maybe, you know, we even kind of took it for granted, and maybe we won't do that in the future. So let's, you know what I'm feeling like doing? Let's put these cards aside. I want to dive into that board, those board members. I'm not going to stop and, you know, pull out their names or anything. But they are online. It's easy to find. I had a Facebook friend that posted, and that's on my Facebook page if you want to look at that, or you can find it anywhere. Just Google the board members of the USPS. So let's do a Celtic cross on them to see what's coming up for them. And this would include Louis DeJoy, because he's the Postmaster General. I did a separate reading on him, so that's there for you to see. Okay, but the board itself, because, you know, maybe the board can oust him. Maybe the board can have some influence over Trump. I can't imagine that the GOP wouldn't want votes to come through for them that come in the mail. You know, like I live in a state that is 100%, I don't even know if I could go somewhere to vote. It's completely mail-in. So, you know, I would think that the Republicans in my state wouldn't like that if the power of the USPS is thwarted in any way. Thwarted, that's an interesting word I've never spoken. Okay, so the forces in motion for this board, the USPS board, the challenges, what they do have control over, what they've done in the past, what they have looming over them, no control, their near future, what they're attracting, others' influence, distant future, and the outcome. And the two cards from the bottom that will help with the base. You know, what they have control over. Let's see, let's get this out of the way in case. All right, okay, so forces in motion are the world. Yes, they do deliver to other countries, right? Okay, the challenge is the Queen of Swords. I'm just going to go ahead and lay them all out this time. What they have control over, the Three of Pentacles, Three of Coins, that certainly makes sense. Oops. Okay. And what they've done in the past, there's that same card that was at the base for the USPS. Okay, what they have no control over, that's really interesting. The Two of Swords. Wow. Okay, their near future, the Fool. There's a new adventure coming from them. What they're attracting is, you know, all of us families that care about the USPS. Others' influence is a Star, distant future, the High Priestess, and the outcome, the Seven of Pentacles. Okay. Might have to use some LeNormand cards to get a little more clarity. Okay, and then the two that were at the base, I have the Five of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles. Super interesting there. Okay, let's dive in. All right, so with the forces in motion, of course, it's a full service, you know, organization, and it is more than just the United States. It's the, you know, international receiving and shipping. So that tells me that the forces in motion are much bigger than just this board. That there are foreign there's foreign energy here. But there's also just a full circle, you know, kind of completion that these board members have. Like they're tight together. The relationship between each other is tight. And with the Queen of Swords, it has to do with a clear focus for the future. But that's their challenge, right? I mean, that's the big challenge. Like, are they going to get away with this? That's a real problem. It's very cold-hearted if it's in the reversed, you know, position, and I purposely don't do reversals just because it's too hard to look at the images usually, you know, for this purpose. But I would say this is definitely in the inverted. You know, I'd have to read the darker qualities of the card, which is just very cold-hearted. And not clear, not a clear purpose. So that's the challenge to that whole, you know, the unity of that organization, that board. Okay. Now, what they do have control over is like dark money. You know, there's some dark money forces here. We may find out that there's foreign money that's been funneled to these guys, and then they use the money to give to Trump for his campaign. you know, checking out those board members I'm getting is actually really important. Because they're coming from a place of winning at any cost, and it's all about the money. And they're looking to make new money. They've got their hand out for new money. And, you know, they want to stay in the lap of luxury, and they want to have complete control over the luxury, the finances. Now, what's looming over them, of which they have no control over, are decisions. So you know, you guys, I'm not that politically savvy to know if, I do know that Nancy Pelosi, as of today, this is Monday, the 17th, today she's calling in a meeting with Congress, and I don't know when they're going to get together, if it's like later in the week or right away, but she has initiated a meeting with Congress to decide on how to handle this, you know, with all this deception and this this corruption that's coming into you know, the Postal Service. So they don't have any control over those decisions that Congress makes. Now, I don't know if Senate has anything to say, or if Trump has anything to say over what comes through the Congress. That's the thing I'm going to have to do some research on, or maybe if you guys know, drop it in the comments and fill us all in. help take over where my brain is not there. But you know, normally in the past it has been, you know, something's approved, a bill is created by Congress, and then it's been stuck in the Senate because of Mitch McConnell. But you know, I mean, why would he want to, you know, tamp down the votes that could come in through the mail for the Republican Party? I mean, it's kind of a place of shooting yourself in the foot, right? I mean, I wonder if they would actually make that decision to do that. But this board is at the whim of other people's decisions. They don't have the ability to move forward in the way that they want if somebody comes in and changes, because they're owned by the federal government. They operate. They're not a private industry, which is what, you know, Trump wants to do. He wants it to be private, so then that way, you know, someone else can control it. But it's not, and it never has been. It's owned by the federal government. Okay, so what they're attracting is a real good, nice hope for the future. And it comes back to family. It comes back to the way things have worked in the past, and that has brought us, you know, into a place of being, you know, pretty satisfied with it. Not that, you know, the organization itself hasn't had trouble in the past, but when it comes to just these board members, they're attracting the way families, you know, the sanctity of America. You could look at this as a very American card, and we don't want the Postal Service being messed with. So that's a real problem for them. And then others' influence over this, you know, board members. I think this is Trump. I think this is the reality TV star doing his crooked thing. Now, their distant future, or he's doing his crooked thing, you know, with them. But the distant future for these board members is secrets, keeping quiet, and the outcome is having to take a stand to protect themselves. So that's really interesting. That is super interesting. Okay, so let me use... Oh, those cards are a little too small because I have my camera up so darn high to fit all these cards in. Let's use this little LeNormand deck. I want to know more about the distant future and the outcome. Distant future and the outcome. Let's see. Okay. I'm tuning into the distant future. You know what? I just got guidance to just hone it into getting us through the election. And then we can always look at it further on from there. But just from now, from today, August 17th, through, let's say, you know, the end of that election cycle. Because it might be that things are allowed to come through late. In the past, they've cut things off. Like they cut off 100,000 votes in California. But maybe something will be written that can change that. Okay, so distant future. Let's do 3 cards for these board members only, their distant future. Not the USPS, but the board members, their distant future. Okay, that's the government choosing. Very nice. This is the Tower. If you study LeNormand at all, this is the Tower, the crossroads path, roads, and then the scythe. And so the meaning that the spells here is that the government, the organization of the government, will choose to remove some of these board members somehow. They'll make a decision that chooses to keep that clear. Okay, so that's good to know. Let's put these back in because I'm asking a different question. It drives me insane when I see tarot readers asking 9 different questions and only using 1 shuffle and 1 deck. Doesn't make sense to me. Okay, so the outcome. Let's do 3 cards for the board members' outcome. These dark money, win at all costs dudes, outcome. Board members for USPS. Okay. Their outcome. Okay. That's a card about delivery. You know, when you're looking for something in the mail and you're wondering if it's coming today and you draw that card, you'll get it. Or any other delivery service. But their outcome, these dudes, their outcome is... Alright, I'm going to have to keep going here. Okay. So their outcome with the rider, the key letter, mountain, and the sun is that they're moving forward to bring the votes through and the mail through the way they want, you know, the slowing it down, the way they've been wanting to slow things down. That will all be revealed. That will all be revealed. Okay, so now let's do something different here. Let's use these oversized LeNormand. Let's use this deck. And I want to know just the future. Let's tune into the future of this board. And only up until the election. Will they be successful in keeping the mail slowed down? Will they be stopped? What will actually happen to this USPS board? How will this plot of theirs go for them? This way we'll see whether or not, you know, they're successful or whether or not they fail. Okay. The board. Okay. Okay, so we have the garden, the stork, the hourglass, lily, crossroads, tree, heart, cross, dog, and coffin. Okay, so short answer, if you don't have time to finish watching, is they'll be stopped. So, but the answer, to break it down, the reason why I say it'll stop is that their public approval is being slowed down while people, assess the situation. And the wisdom of their choices, or the long-term choices of these old white dudes, is being stopped because they've put a burden on the loyalty, the trustworthiness of the entire. They are ruining the trustworthiness of the USPS. So this, the public, us, we have this long-term love for the United States Postal Service, and they've put a burden on that will be, it's going to be slowly examined, and then the loyalty to this board will be gone, will just end. Yeah, it'll take time because the coffin card knights over to the hourglass. So, yeah, it'll take time, but it will end. And it's all because the health and the organization. The tree is a very organizational card, and it relates to the past and the growth. So, this long-term growth here is really important. And the public wants the long-term growth. And they want the interaction with the United States Postal Service on a day-to-day basis because we care about that. The stork goes, they go back and forth to the nest. So, we could look at the stork as being like the delivery of the mail, and they're slowing it down is going to cause them pain, and it will end. It will end. So I don't know how it will happen. Okay, let's look at let's reshuffle these, and let's look at how will the board members, how will this end? Will there be a just removal of some parties, some of the guys that won't get in alignment with the way the United States of America wants this to wants the USPS to be run? How will it end for these guys? Yes, absolutely. So there will be the spread of information, this widespread information that will remove the foundation of these guilty parties who have betrayed the system. So that's good news. So we may have a completely new board at some point. I don't know how long that will take, but it looks like they will be stopped in time for the election to come through safely. So that's good to know. Okay, well, I think that's all I have for now. If you have any more questions, if there's something I've missed, questions or comments, especially from other readers or anyone else that's has some intuition or just some logical sense, I welcome it all. And I'll get back to you or do extra readings based on your questions if that comes through. But Meanwhile, you guys, as usual, take good care. Okay, bye.